better. I'm excited. It's an opportunity for us to tell you about the year, to talk to you about what we see in the future ahead. Last year, we were excited. We were honoring Liz Visa, who was taking a well-earned retirement, and we were welcoming our new president, Liza Meyer. And so it has been a nonstop, busy, wonderful, positive year. So we're very pleased. Another thing that we have started to do at this meeting, which I think we're very excited about as well, is that we have this opportunity to honor our Parks champion. And we've had a couple amazing Parks champions, and we have another one this year that is particularly special. So you're going to hear a little bit more about Shirley Smith, but Shirley Smith, I have met in so many different ways, through the Boston Committee of the Garden Clubs of America, through the Garden Club of the Back Bay, through our Border Brigade, and just one of the most positive, happy, smiling, can-do people. And everyone loves to come across someone like that in their day. So anyways, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Leslie Singleton Adam, and I am the board chair, and I have been the board chair here at the Friends for just over 10 years. So on behalf of our board and our entire staff, I want to thank you for taking the time from your day to come here, supporting our work, and these three really important and special parks here in the city of Boston. So I want to talk to you about looking ahead. 2026 has been a great year. There's been a lot going on. We've had progress on the master plan. That has continued. There are projects that are currently working their way through planning, design and permitting, and real construction will follow. This is the time that it's very frustrating, but we assure you that there is work going on and meetings happening, and so we're excited about that. One of the projects that we're very excited about is the Beacon Street accessibility ramp. That's one to watch for. And once it clears landmarks approval, we'll begin to share renderings and details. This will really be a visible and meaningful improvement in our parks. That's a very tricky corner if any of you have navigated it on foot. Another thing that we have been advocating for and we're very focused on is our advocacy for better park management, especially on the Common. We would like to see a formal event management policy and the creation of a parks administrator role. You may have heard us speak about that in our communications with you. It is really at the forefront of our conversations with the City of Boston and the Parks Department about how we feel that we can both work together for excellent outcomes for these parks. This isn't really an abstract governance question. This really will determine whether these spaces will remain accessible, well-maintained, and genuinely welcome for all. Community and belonging is really important to us in our mission, and these parks serve the whole city. Our programs are free to all, our volunteer opportunities are expanding, and we're deepening our connections with the neighborhoods on every side of our parks. Boston Common belongs to everybody who lives here. One of the other things I'm pleased to share with you today, you may have seen in our communications that we had a private donor who assisted us in providing free public bathrooms on the Boston Common for several years. So, sort of funny, but it made us pretty excited. Every year it was the topic that got the big round of applause at the board meeting. We were very lucky last year. We were running short of our funding from that very generous donor, and we were starting to have conversations with a number of our partners, the city and the state. Lydia Edwards helped us earmark some funds, and we were able to get through last year, but we were at zero. And we started this year with the thought that we were not going to be able to do that again. But Liza has been tireless. We've had lots of calls and meetings, and our partners have really answered our call. So we are excited to tell you, especially for 2026, we are going to be placing the public toilet back out in that same area for one more season, and we're super appreciative. So for all of our partners, we had, first of all, Tom Kershaw, our tireless partner and cheerleader, who introduced us to a number of people. And we're very pleased with MCCA will be involved with us, as well as Meet Boston. And of course, our elected officials at the city and state. So thank you. It's been a real partnership of people to make it happen. You're going to hear a little bit later tonight from some very inspiring people. We have been so fortunate here at the Friends of the Public Garden through your support and through the tireless efforts of people like one of our founders, Henry Lee. And when Henry passed away, he said he did not want a bust of himself, or he used to laugh. Just a tree would be nice, he said. You know, don't even have to put my name on it. But we thought the thing to do on his birthday was to create the Henry Lee Fund for Boston Parks. And we were very grateful that one of our partners in helping us unfold that program and think it through was the Parks Department itself at the City of Boston. They were a great help to us. And Henry was with us when we launched the fund, and we are now in another season of giving wonderful grants to small parks organizations throughout the city. Many that are small groups that don't have a lot of funding, and we're able to help them and share our expertise and a stipend fund to kick off their projects. So you'll hear a little bit about them later. I believe we have some information, and if you see any of those folks here, please say hello and hear about their projects, because they're very inspiring. We are looking further ahead. So we've talked about 2026 and why that's an important year for the City of Boston, but the Boston Common is going to turn 400 in 2034. So that is, we'd like to remind you, America's first public park. And the investments that we make now in stewardship will help these green spaces and all the green spaces throughout our City of Boston. So we are focused on the investment of the Boston Common now. We're focused on the master plan and continued advocacy for the city to continue to use the funds from Winthrop Square to make a difference there. This is the sort of thing that if we don't do this work now and make it meaningful, that milestone will be here before we know it in a park's timeline. So any support that you can give us on that when you're talking to elected officials or anybody else, we appreciate that. So I am now going to transition to the business part of our meeting. I've talked to you far too long. One of the things I love about this is I love having a chance to meet with you all. So if you have a complaint or you want to talk about something, please always feel free to reach out tonight or anytime. The office can put you in touch with me. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Mullen, who heads up our governance committee. Thank you. And before Jeff begins, I would like to call a vote, if I could, for the meeting minutes of April 17th, 2025 to be approved by a motion. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for that housekeeping. Jeff.
Thank you, Leslie.
One more. There you go.
Okay. Leslie Liza, members of the Friends of the Public Garden, it's good to be with you again tonight. My name is Jeff Mullen. I am the chairman of the Governance Committee of the Board of Directors. I'm here to issue a recommendation with respect to new members to be recommended to the board. This recommendation is made in accordance with Article 5, Section 3 of the bylaws, which provides that candidates may be elected as individual directors on the Board of Directors at the annual meeting of the Friends by a majority vote of the members then present and voting. I'm going to offer one vote for two sets of candidates. That the following 7 candidates be appointed to an individual 3-year term on the Board of Directors beginning as of the end of this annual meeting. Colin Zick, Alex Hastings, Margaret Portnoy, Brent Shea, Jean Bollinger, Tracy Flannery, and James Keefe. Secondly, I recommend that the following 2 candidates be approved to a second consecutive 3-year term on the board, beginning at the end of this annual meeting. Jeff Jarzak and Beatrice Nesson. May I have a motion? Second.
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Thank you very much. Let me now introduce Jim Bordwick, the treasurer of the board, to issue the treasurer's report. Jim.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Bordwick. I am the treasurer, and I'll make this very short and sweet. We had a wonderful year last year, and the financial condition of the Friends remains very strong. And we will be getting, again this year, a clean audit report from our auditor. So up on the board are a couple pie charts that just are intended to give you a sense of what our sources of income and sources of expenses are. Three key factors contributed to these really good results last year. The first was the continued generosity and support of members and supporters like you who are here tonight. Second, we enjoyed strong fundraising and other income generating activity coupled with prudent expense management and sound oversight by the board. And third, the rolling 3-year average value of our endowment increased. And that results in a higher formula draw, and that formula draw helps to support the activities of the Friends. So on operating results, just a couple comments. Our operating income was $3.9 million last year, and that came in about $232,000, about 6% above our budget, and also above our projections. On the main contributors to that were increased membership fees of about $83,000, a large grant from the Legacy Fund for Boston for the Boston Tree Preservation a succession plan project, a $25,000 gift from the Quinn for the wall, and an additional about $18,000 in tree and bench sponsorships. On the expense side, our total expenses for 2025 were $3.6 million, and that was about $131,000 below our budget and almost $35,000 below our projections, due primarily to 4 factors. Parks Care came in almost $11,000 below projection, primarily because the costs associated with turf care on the Common were lower than anticipated. Good outcome. The cost of the holiday lights were lower, primarily because the Kenmore block was not lit. There was a decrease in school signups and a delayed start in the Skating for the Friends program in the Common. And then the costs of redesigning our website, instead of being capitalized, were expensed. So we put all those things together, we ended up with a modest $1,600 surplus. Thank you very much, and now it's my pleasure to introduce Liza Meyer, who's our president.
What's up? Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you all for being here tonight. I was here a year ago as a guest. I was still working at the City of Boston in the Parks Department. I started with the Friends May 1st, so I came and had a chance to introduce myself, meet a few people. It was a complete whirlwind. So if I met you last year at the annual meeting and I introduced myself again tonight for the first time, just know that I was taking a lot in at that point. But it's great to see so many people here tonight, and I just want to start with a thank you to all of you for coming and your support of the Friends. Your support of the Friends by attending this meeting is really significant, and we love to see the kind of commitment in our supporters that is demonstrated in this room tonight. I'd like to thank, we have a number of elected officials who are here or were here. A couple of them had to dash out, but Counselor Sharon Durkin is here. Rep. Jay Livingstone was here. Kevin Hayden was here. I'm doing a quick scan. I can't see everybody at this point, but Lydia Edwards is here, Senator Edwards. So thank you all for being here. If I missed anybody, yes, raise your hand. We're so grateful that you're joining us. I also want to recognize all the members of our board. They put in so much work over the course of a year, and really the Friends couldn't be the organization that we are without their support and commitment to this group. So it's exciting that we have a new group of board members joining us after today's meeting, and we'll be serving the 3-year terms that Jeff mentioned. This is a really amazing group. We also have a number of council members here tonight. So thank you all for your service to the organization over the course of the year. And I also want to recognize the City of Boston Parks Department. We have Interim Commissioner Kathy Baker Eclipse here with us tonight. Thank you, Kathy. And I absolutely want to take a moment to recognize and thank our staff. We have pretty much everybody from our staff is here tonight, making this event happen, from behind the scenes to, out front, greeting people as they come in, planning everything, making sure that this event is successful and well run, and that is just one tiny piece of all the work that our staff does. We are a group of currently 9 people, soon to be 10 again when we fill a position that we recently had vacated, but it is a tiny group compared to the amount of work we get done, and people work so hard and are so willing to chip in and help each other out, and we really have an amazing group of people. So if you could just take a moment to thank everybody. So once a year we get together in this way to reflect on our work and to use these reflections to inform our focus going forward. And as I round the corner on my first year with the Friends, the core drivers of our work are crystal clear, and you see them up here on the screen. We're shaping and refining and strengthening our partnership with the City of Boston in real time every day. This is our foundation, and a successful collaborative relationship is essential for the success of our work, and I'll return to that in a little bit. The Friends is committed to providing the care these parks require day in and day out. By this time in the spring, we have contracts set up for turf care in each park, for specialty horticulturalists for planting projects, for tree nutrition, sculpture conservation. We have 2 fountain maintenance contractors, tree pruning, watering, the list goes on. These parks require tremendous care, and we're here to meet that challenge. But it's never just about the current needs. Everything we do is future focused. From tree longevity to sunlight protection to communication that enriches people's experience in the parks. Having these parks in the heart of the city is a gift. And our job today is to make sure that these places are thriving for future park users. The why behind this work is about people, the use of the parks. We return to the parks because they are both a constant in our lives and they are places that are dynamic, where we can always see someone or something new. And some of what we get from spending time in these places is human connection. Parks are one of the few places where anyone can come and we all share in the experience. No one earns a better park experience than someone else. And we can opt in to the degree that we're interested to interacting with other people. We may sit back and people watch, or we can have a great spontaneous interaction like the one I had the other day with a gentleman from Sacramento who struck up a conversation with me about a tree, and it totally made my morning. So everyone in this room knows the magic of these spaces and the values that they bring to our lives. In my first year with the organization, I've been seeking to build my understanding of who our supporters are. I think there's an outdated narrative out there that the Friends is an organization that's supported by a small group of Back Bay and Beacon Hill neighbors who have been around for decades. And I wanted to find out what the real picture is, and here's what the data shows. Our supporters come from across the region and across the country, every single city, neighborhood, 33 different states, half of the towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. People support the Friends and these parks because these parks matter to people everywhere. And our membership base is growing. So in 2025, 27% of our donors were first-time supporters. That tells us that our work is valued and that new people are finding us, which is wonderful. And a significant portion of our donations in 2025 were less than $100. The organization relies on contributions of any amount, and our work resonates with people at all levels of support. So I was so interested to learn all of these facts in analyzing our 2025 data. That's not an anomaly year. This is who the Friends are. And I think it's so important that we get this message out there. These parks are serving everyone. These parks are at the foot of our state capitol. People in 33 different states write a check to support the parks in Boston. It's really phenomenal. I said I would return to public-private partnership, and I think that's really, as I said, the foundation of our work. I came into this role with almost 17 years of experience working in the public sector, so I have a direct understanding of the challenges that underlie city work. And the inputs that are required to sustain these parks are significant. And city resources simply do not match the need. The way that Parks Department funding is allocated and prioritized does not effectively support the kind of care these parks require. And I feel like I can say that because I know it, yet I still worked for parks for so long. There is nothing in that reality that means that parks isn't doing a phenomenal job, right? It's possible for parks to be doing a great job and still not have sufficient resources to provide what these parks need. So private funding makes up the difference. That's the reality, and that's why the Friends is essential. One of the things that I learned this year that I thought was really interesting and telling is annually the Trust for Public Land, through their park score rankings, looks at city park systems from 1,000 different data points, and the data points kind of change year to year just to keep everyone on their toes. But one of the things they look at is investment. And when they analyze Boston park spending, they look at it's Boston, the city, not the geography, not just the city of Boston. So they're looking at investment from the city, from the state, from Massport, from the Friends, from Friends of Frida Garcia Park, like all the Friends organizations, the Emerald Necklace Conservancy, you name it, Harvard, because they maintain the Arnold Arboretum. So all of these numbers get rolled up together. And then you can slice and dice them in different ways. But Boston relies on the private sector for more than 25% of the funding that goes into supporting the park system in the city. And the benchmark for this, the average of the 100 largest US cities is 5%. It just shows how significant private funding is here in Boston. And if we remove capital spending from this analysis and just look at maintenance and operations spending from private sources alongside city sources, the ratio is 50-50. So we're in this together. That's what we do, and our work is to make that partnership stronger, more efficient, more effective, so that the work that the city does can be all the better, and that the work the Friends does can be all the more impactful as well. So partnership in action, right? That's what it's all about. So first and foremost, the Friends, we have this, as Jim was explaining, we have the budget, the support that we can work with each year. The most important thing we do is support Parks Care. So in that work, we are supplementing the maintenance that the Parks Department provides with additional essential Parks Care. So nearly 70% of our budget goes directly into this work. And the parks require a lot of inputs for them to be able to support the level of use they receive and for the features within the parks to be at their best. So the Friends provides that for the full 1.75 miles of connected parkland that are in the core of our city that we help steward. So this is a list, it's not exhaustive, but it is the core work that we do through our Parks Care program. And I think it's important. This is something that comes up all the time. It's like, well, what does the Friends do? What does the city do? Why is it so confusing to understand who does what? And so I've written just a note on the bottom that there are roles that the city has that the Parks Department takes full responsibility for. That's the trash collection, the snow removal, the mowing in the public garden and the Boston Common, the planting of the amazing ornamental rotational beds in the public garden. That is all city work, miscellaneous repairs. And that work provides a foundation on which we can build. So we can do the work around the border beds in the public garden. We can do the work to take care of ComEd Mall really in its entirety, all the way down to raking the leaves in the fall. We can do the comprehensive tree health and nutrition program that we do, which is providing specific care to every single tree across these 3 parks, which is, I think, around 1,700 trees, 1,800 trees. It's a huge number. We can do the irrigation work, because these parks would not be green at all if we didn't have irrigation that supports the growth of grass and allows it to come back even with heavy use. And we can provide fountain operations to keep these amazing fountains throughout these parks running, so that when you come into the parks, you can expect to see them going and you can show them off to everybody. So this is the core of our work is Parks Care. Leslie mentioned this, and I just want to take another moment to say there are park improvement projects underway. The list at the top are 6 city-funded capital projects. There are 4 of them that are in the Boston Common, 1 in the Public Garden, and the Kenmore Block improvements at the far end of Commonwealth Avenue Mall. Kenmore Block is, I think, likely to go into construction next and first of this list, but after the summer, we should be able to see Tadpole Playground renovations begin, and soon thereafter, hopefully, the Beacon Street accessibility ramp. Other projects are in design or in an early evaluation stage, so we'll take a little bit longer to move forward, but this work is happening. The Friends are engaged, the city is reaching out, so we'll do our part to keep everybody informed and also keep your ear to the ground, and you can participate in the design process for these projects. There are other projects that are out there. Each year, we're able to accomplish quite a bit of work through the Boston Common Maintenance Trust. And that is funding that came from the sale of the Winthrop Square Garage and helps support small projects, maintenance projects in the Common, and has become really incredibly valuable in addressing some of the longstanding maintenance needs in that park. The Friends is working with the city on some public garden repairs and upgrades. You may have heard that we're working to raise money to replace the trash receptacles in the public garden. And if you haven't seen our campaign, there's a sign over there on the far side of the room. Tune in, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. Make sure you're getting our emails. We have some great community members we're partnering with. The Parks Department is trying to help. We all really want to see this happen. It's just a question of timeline. So the sooner the better, but we have to raise the money first. So keep an eye out for that. We're also advancing our Boston Common tree succession plan. So that's a project that will provide a comprehensive vision for planting and tree care and species recommendations for the Boston Common, so that when projects move into implementation that are recommended in the Boston Common Master Plan, we will have a larger vision for what the planting plan on the Common should be, and that larger vision can be implemented on a project-by-project basis. So this is really exciting and important, and we're just starting this work right now. So also stay tuned for some updates on that. So what else does your support go towards? Our work encourages active use of the parks in all seasons. Everything we offer comes at no cost to participants, but we must fundraise and seek sponsors to make these programs happen every year. Fundamentally, our programs support the inherent qualities of parks at their best. So we invite people to gather, recreate, learn something new, extend their visit, and share an experience. The Common, the Garden, and the Mall are such essential parts for our city, and we want people to feel connected with them in a variety of ways. So one of these ways, and Leslie mentioned this earlier, is we're actively working to expand volunteer opportunities. And in doing so, we're finding more groups and individuals who are really seeking those kinds of experiences. So we had a group out today along Commonwealth Avenue Mall cleaning benches. And it was the first time we'd done that. Our staff had to figure out how to do that, what supplies did we need, and where's the water coming from, and we did it. And they were out there for a few hours this morning and cleaned almost every bench up the entire mall. So yeah, amazing, right? So if you aren't receiving like our newsletter or checking out our website, do that in the months to come. We're working on renovating our website so that it can be even more useful to people, and that we can have things like downloadable maps for people when they come to visit the park, so we can have an interactive map. So if you want to be on your phone figuring out where something is, you can use that device in the park. So I think these will be really significant improvements, and we dedicate considerable staff time and effort into communications to make sure we're sharing important updates while also deepening people's understanding of the parks and the Friends. Advocacy. The Friends was founded as an advocacy organization, and we've held that at our core for over 55 years. The pressures on these spaces from the impacts of use, the impacts of adjacencies, the impacts of fluctuating budgets and resources is constant. Parks need defenders, and the Friends meets this need. Our advocacy work, while connected to these parks, is not exclusive to them. We want to see the Parks Department be better resourced for the good of the whole city. We can test out ideas and strategies in these parks, like what it takes to provide clean, safe, accessible public restrooms. And then that can be adapted and applied to other public spaces. We can pilot something here and hopefully inform something that will be valuable, many different places. And lastly, as I get ready to introduce our next speaker, through the Henry Lee Fund for Boston Parks, the Friends is committing to supporting volunteer groups throughout the city with funding for projects that help steward community green spaces and strengthen Boston's network of park advocates. Through this granting program, we share expertise, support information sharing, and make projects possible through an endowed fund in honor of Henry Lee. So with that, I'm going to introduce Catherine Warden, Committee Chair for the Henry Lee Fund, to share more about the program. And thank you all.
The map is amazing. Good evening again. My name is Catherine Gordon, and I get to be the chair of the Henry Lee Fund for Boston Parks at the Friends, which has been amazing. I also serve as secretary on the board, so I've been around taking meeting minutes at these meetings for some number of years. So the Henry Lee Fund has not been around that long. We are currently in our second year, and we are so pleased that we've already seen an uptick in awareness for the grant opportunity across the city. We had more applications this year, and we've made more grant designations. The community-led projects that we're going to be talking about are a combination of things that are well underway and some that are just getting started. All of them will make green spaces and open spaces throughout Boston more usable, more welcoming, and more accessible. The Henry Lee Fund is committed to strengthening and augmenting groups that already exist. There's a lot of stewardship and advocacy happening throughout the city, and this grants program is designed to support and extend that work. This is not the Friends stepping in and taking over little parks. We are there to lift other park groups up. We are so grateful that so many groups are out there doing the hard work every day. So, the big headline. This year, we are pleased to be able to distribute $47,000 in grants across 10 community projects. And they're on the list. The projects span neighborhoods across the city: Dorchester, South End, Bay Village, Mattapan, the North End, and Rosendale. Each one of the projects that we're awarding a grant to is shaped by the specific needs and priorities of the community it serves. Together, they reflect a wide range of work, and they have real impact on how people will experience their neighborhood parks. The projects include tree care and canopy work, pollinator gardens and garden enhancements, accessible and updated seatings, and other hardscape projects. Each of them is designed to enhance a space, to invite people to gather, play, and spend more time. The improvement and the care that these grants help fund show up in many important ways. And when the work happens, people then see their parks differently. They stay longer, they come back more often, and over time, it can build a stronger sense of connection, not just to the space, but to the community it serves. So, some acknowledgements before I list our actual awardees. Liza shouted out the staff. I'm going to shout out a whole bunch of people. The grant program doesn't happen without a lot of work. It is not just a magical web page with an apply here button. It depends on the strong partnerships between city, the neighbors, the friends, the public garden, individuals, and other entities. And I want to just list off a couple people in particular. Firstly is Kathy Baker Eclipse, our interim commissioner of Parks and Recreation. She has provided invaluable insight throughout this process. I should note that almost all of our applications have to do with projects that are in fact owned by the city of Boston. So it's important to have the city weighing in. Also like to thank City Councilor Brian Worrell and his team, who were particularly effective at connecting us with organizations throughout his district. Really great job of letting us know who was out there and letting those groups know who we were. Like to thank the city's Community Preservation Act program. So that CPA, we've all heard of that. It's a much bigger grant program than what I'm talking about. But we've had some great information sharing on best practice, and also on maybe a group that came to us that should be going to them, or vice versa. And I think that's true of other grants programs as well. We've had some really great cross communication with some other small grants programs. We are still learning and improving, and we hope that we also can share what we're doing with others. In general, I'd like to thank the Office of Neighborhood Services, again, who've done a great job letting all of the other Friends groups know that we are funding these sorts of projects, and that the Friends doesn't just fund the 3 parks. I'd like to thank the members of the committee. They've also done a great job in connecting their networks. So as you might imagine, Friends board members and supporters tend to be very green parks oriented people with fantastic resumes and Rolodexes. And they've done a really good job of getting our name out there. And then of course, the staff, and I'm gonna shout out particularly Malika Shepard and Rebecca DiTomasi, who have done yeoman's work on the magical website that has a submit here button. They built the website, and they read every query that comes into the website, and then they do proactive outreach to all of our applicants, because our objective is that we give you the money. So we want to do everything we can to support the application process to make sure folks are successful. So it's not a magic button, but it's a great button, the submit here button. So also in future, if you know someone who wants to apply for a grant, click on that button. The fund is, as Liza mentioned, or as Leslie mentioned, a reflection of Henry Lee's beliefs that every park deserves care, and it's not just our 3 downtown parks. And also the people closest to the spaces should have a hand in caring for them. So tonight, I'm very excited to list off our awardees. I know you can see them on the screen. I know I find the map particularly impactful of the outreach that this organization has managed to have. And we have folks from all of our organizations. We have a whole section full of folks. I know that some folks also brought some material. So there is actually, after we get to the meet and mingle section, there is a table with some great information, further information on the projects. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read out some names, and a new addition to our project this year. We have a certificate of appreciation that we would like to give to each of these folks today. They've already gotten the check, and probably most of them have already spent it. We don't hold that up. We know Parks Works happens early in the season. So this is not the handing over of checks. This is the handing over of certificates. So I'm going to start with the Boston Food Forest Coalition, who are doing work at the Radcliffe Street Food Forest in Dorchester to install an art grant specifically supports multilingual signage to make the space more accessible and easier to navigate. Next, unfortunately, who are not here, well, I'll do this for you, Livia. I'd like to recognize the St. Mark's Area Civic Association, who are also working in Dorchester, this time at the Adams King Playground, and they are going to be updating a pollinator garden with new plantings and educational elements. Next, I'd like to recognize the Speak for the Trees folks, who are a much bigger organization, and this project is focused at the Dr. Lush Family Park in Dorchester, and they're going to be supporting long-term tree health and safety through professional tree care. Our next project is the Coconut Grove Memorial Committee, who are advancing the Coconut Grove Memorial that is being established in Bay Village in Statler Park. And then we're going to help support key structural and engraved elements. Then we have Old North Illuminated, who are good friends of the Old North Church, who are working to preserve and maintain the historic 18th century garden. Very excited about that. Next, we have the Friends of Titus Sparrow Park in the South End. We're going to be restoring some planting beds and adding native and climate-resistant landscaping. We have our Titus Sparrow. I have to add an asterisk. I was just made aware that the Titus Sparrow organization has also just added a garden club. So there's going to be some hands-on, I think, in those garden beds. And then we also have the Friends of Hayes Park in the South End, who recently suffered the loss of a very large tree, which made us sad, and we are there to hopefully help replant and restore the surrounding landscape. Three more organizations you'll see who I don't believe were able to send representatives to the Friends of Ronan Park in Dorchester, who are going to be improving a key entrance to the park with path upgrades and restored seating. We have, redefining our community, ROC, who are going to be working at the Thetford Evans Playground in Mattapan to enhance the space and do some tree maintenance. And finally this year, we have the Rosendale Village Main Street group, who are working in Adams Park, right in the heart of Rosendale, to add some accessible seating and plantings to strengthen the park as a gathering space for all. So I think we've touched on every element of Parks and Have. And I would just like to thank all of you and remind you that this fund is separate from Jim's pie charts. This is a fund that was raised separately to honor Henry Lee and to honor the work of Friends and to share expertise and to highlight these folks that are doing amazing work. And we thank you for your support. And now we do a brief photo.
Yes. Everyone look right over at me, please.
Thank you.
So I think I turn it back to Leslie. You do? Turn it back to Leslie. And I go back to taking notes.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you. It's so inspiring to see that there are parks people doing such incredible work all around the city. So we urge you, take a look at that map and go and visit. Because that's the whole point, right? Is to not only create welcoming spaces for the community, but, raise the awareness that we have a great appreciation and love for parks throughout our city. We think of Boston as a park city, so thank you. So as I started off at the beginning of my day, I was saying here how excited I am that our Parks Champion Award is another one of those people who inspires me every day, a real superhero in the work that we do. Because, you know, as so many of us have shared with you, we couldn't do what we do without all of the volunteers who give so much of their time every day in this, and Shirley Smith is one of those folks. So I am really excited to introduce Kathy Baker Eclipse, our interim Parks Commissioner, who has been a great partner with us, who we've known for a number of years, because she had many roles in the Boston Parks Department, and so we're personally thrilled that this is her role now, because we think that it's really helping us make great impact. And I know that Kathy will have a few words, and then she'd like to tell you a little bit about Shirley Smith. So thank you. Go ahead.
For those who I haven't met, my name is Kathy Baker Eclipse, and I am the interim commissioner for Boston Parks. I've been with the department over 18 years. I was doing project management and then director of design construction, so I have a deep knowledge of parks across the city. So many of these parks are ones that I've worked on or ones that I'm familiar with, so it's really meaningful to be able to help the friends who are coming in and helping the parks as well. So thank you for that. It's really special. So I'm here to present Shirley Smith with the Parks Champion this award this year, and it's a real pleasure. Like Leslie was saying, it's really the people who make our parks so special. We can design, as a landscape architect, I'm loath to admit that we can design great spaces, but it's really the parks, the people that make the parks come alive. And it's really the dedication of people like you who come in every day, are dedicated to the park, are ambassadors in our parks, welcome people into our parks, beautify our parks, and really are there day in and day out and make our parks such special places to be. I'm especially reminded this time of year, I don't know if people do like some of the icebreakers, like what's your favorite season? And I'm always surprised with the number of people who don't say spring. Because this is when the city comes alive, you know, everybody's out there, everybody's basking in the magnolia blooms and the cherry blooms, and it's really not without a tremendous amount of effort, and your effort at the Back Bay, the Garden Club of Back Bay, and now with the Friends of the Public Garden, and with the Wellesley College Botanical Garden and Mount Auburn Cemetery. It's such a long-lasting legacy, and it's really so special to see how you have dedicated your life to making these public spaces better spaces. So I will do a brief, there's information on the back of your agenda as well, but after participating in the Garden Club of Back Bay for many years, then she joined the board of the Friends of the Public Garden. So just so many years playing such a critical role in supporting and getting off the ground the docent program that interprets and welcomes people into the public garden. Training tour guides for those free tours, which really are so special. And also participating in the border brigade, maintaining those borders, those shrubs that parks can't quite get to because we are spread across the entire city. So being able to be there day in and day out, making those day-to-day improvements, weeding those beds, which I'm sure are no fun whatsoever. Okay, the yard we can come to as well. If we get there. So I think it's such testament to you that after many years teaching kids, you really thought, what I want to do is weed beds. But it's finding the beauty in everything and pruning out what's not working and letting what does work flourish and come alive. So I think that there's other spaces that you've been involved with, the Clarendon Tree Pits and the Fireman's Memorial Tree and the Sarmiento statue, and also on the Grant Tree. So there's such a legacy there, and it's really a huge pleasure to be able to award you the Parks Champion Award this year. So.
we have a little something for you. And I don't know if you want to say a few words, but, you know, is on your chair is that Shirley was a teacher, and I wish my children had Shirley. But it's one of the reasons why I understand that she has immense patience for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Here you go. Thank you.
Right over it. Smile.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, that draws our annual meeting to a close. And so I would welcome you to stay and mix and mingle and chat with everybody. And if you haven't had a tour with Shirley, I highly recommend that you try to get one this season before they're all sold out. So, thank you.